Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of our In Conversation series. I'm very pleased to be joined by Mark Wright, founder, entrepreneur, and of course, 2014 Apprentice winner. So thanks for joining me, Mark.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It feels weird to be meeting my lawyers where I'm not paying a huge bill. So it's fantastic. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Very,
It's
very
great to be
reasonable
with you.
rates, very reasonable. Yeah, so I mean, to start off, do you want to just tell us a bit about your background and your journey?
Yes, of course. Well, everyone that's tuning into this to think they're hearing the Mark Wright from The Only Way is Essex going to be very disappointed when they figure out that it's Alan Sugar's business partner and The Apprentice winner, Mark Wright. I always get confused with him ever since I got to here in the UK. But as you can tell from my voice, I'm from a country that's much better than this one at rugby and cricket. I,
Controversial.
I came over here as a backpacker in 2012. Was living in a hostel in London, Victoria, called the White Ferry House. And sort of my story started when I started working at a massive digital marketing agency. And it had 500 employees, was a massive organization. But I really disagreed with the ethics of the company. I didn't like the way they were treating their staff, their customers. So I think, like most entrepreneurs, I felt like I could do it better than my boss. I felt like I had this desire to start my own company in the same industry and do it how I thought it should be done. So I put together a business plan for what I thought would be one of the world's top digital marketing agencies. I took it to 4 banks, but because I'm not from the UK, they wouldn't give me the £25,000 loan I required to get started. And in fact, because I wasn't a citizen here, I couldn't even get an account open for a business account. So I was like, what am I going to do? Should I move back to Australia? Should I, just forget about it, keep working for other people? And a friend said to me, why don't you try out for The Apprentice? And I said, what's The Apprentice? He said, it's a business TV show where an old man yells at you. Um, and that was the first time I heard of Alan Sugar. It was the first time I heard of The Apprentice. And in 2014, I went down to the tryouts with my friend Blake. I was one of over 75,000 people who tried out for that series of the show. I was one of the first in the door of the 20 candidates, and I was the last out as the winner. And Lord Sugar and I started Climb Online, a digital marketing agency, from the proceeds of the show. He took 50% equity of the business. For the last 8 years, I've been working with him, scaling that agency up. We won fastest growing digital marketing agency, startup awards, entrepreneur of the year, was listed on Forbes, all of that stuff. And recently, as you'll know, from being my lawyer on the deal, we just recently exited and sold that company. And it's been an amazing journey, because I think people wonder what happens to the winners of those shows like The Apprentice and all of that stuff. But if I could go back in time and just pick between the £250,000 investment or the mentorship from Lord Sugar, I would pick the mentorship, because what I've learned in business is money can only get you so far, but knowledge and connections is really the key to success in business. If you've got a good team around you, the right lawyers, the right accountants, the right mentor, the right people on your board, success is almost guaranteed. And that brings money in itself. And the lessons that I've learned from Lord Sugar and my other business mentors, and also the connections I made and the profile from the show, changed my life and my business. So that's a bit about me, and I hope that helps.
But that's also so important. I mean, in the startup kind of community, often they're starting with angel investors, and not all of your angel investors are going to be Alan Sugar, but having those relationships and having people who are there supporting you is just as important as the money that you're getting in at that stage to help, as you say, kind of those connections and help grow your business.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, most people fail from a lack of capital in their business and a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And when you create a business plan, it's a lot about who's going to be in that founding team, who's going to be on the board, and how much money do you need. There's two issues that happen with startups, to my mind. It's lack of investment or overinvestment. Getting that amount of money is right, but more important to my mind is who's been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt on your board. And I just recently sold my company, and I'd never sold a company before. The chairman of my board, my company secretary, it was about their 100th deal. And they were laughing that it was such a small deal. That's the people you need around you, because when it gets tough, you get sued, you're selling, you're buying, you're integrating with another company, you have issues with your staff. You get stressed as the founder. And when you go to your board and they laugh and say, oh gosh, this has happened to me 500 times and this is what you do, it just takes that pressure out of running your business. And that for me was a really important lesson, and something that I'll take with me on the rest of my journey.
Yeah, great. So just, I mean, obviously you talked a bit already about Climb Online, but I mean, as a founder, do you want to just sort of talk about some of the biggest challenges that you faced in that period before we start talking about the big payoff?
Of course, of course. Listen, starting a business is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Creating a startup is no mean feat. It's almost impossible. You look at the statistics of the amount of businesses that start and fail in the UK in the first 5 years. Well, it's most, okay? And I know why. It's because starting it is just so difficult, because, for example, you go and find an office. You've got to set the office up. Oh, okay, we've just sold our first order. Oh, the customer wants a contract. We don't have contracts. We have to make those. Oh, they've asked for our terms and conditions. We don't have terms and conditions. Oh, and this has happened and this has happened. Everything that needs doing needs to be done for the first time, and it needs to be created. That costs money, it costs time, and it's stressful because you're going through it for the first time. So when I started, I didn't know any of these things. I just was really good at digital marketing and just wanted to do digital marketing for people. I never thought about terms and conditions or a policy on the website, or, customers not being happy, or employees that need this and this and this. So it was not so much the bit that I was good at, which was the digital marketing. It was the actual, all of the other things around running the business that created so much stress and took so much time. And that really took 2 years to learn. And what I really understood was, you need other people around you. The biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make, self-employed entrepreneurs or startup entrepreneurs, is trying to do everything themselves. They think, oh, no one will do it as good as me. I need to raise the invoices. I need to write the terms and conditions. I need to create the contracts. But actually, that's not your expertise. I didn't get into digital marketing to make terms and conditions for my agency. That's somebody else's job. So what I quickly learned was to relinquish control. Yes, if I let other people do it, they mightn't do it as well as me, but it's going to allow me the time and the space to do what I'm good at, which is digital marketing. And it's going to allow my company to grow more quickly. And I'm going to be able to have a life, because for the first 2 years of my company, it was 7 days, 15-hour days, and it wasn't enjoyable. It felt like we were going to fail every day. It was really challenging because I was doing too much myself. And it was really the most important lesson I learned in business about, having good people around you, relinquishing control and letting them do things in the business as well. And I'll take that with me into my next company.
But it's also so important to get those things right at the beginning, because you can easily make a mistake, and then a few years down the line, as you'll know from kind of when it comes to exit and due diligence, they rake over everything that's happened. And so actually you need to have those things have all been done properly.
It's critical. The best advice I ever got in business was, you've got to select the right team of lawyers, and you've got to select the right team of accountants. If you get those two things right, the rest of your business will go smoothly. And it's so true. I mean, going through the due diligence process has taught me that everything you do in your business matters. And when you're starting up, you're not thinking about the end. But when I speak to entrepreneurs and mentor business owners now, every single business owner will exit their business. You will either die, you will sell it, or it will go broke. That's the only 3 options to exit, and we're all going to exit our business right now. So I say, why don't we take the stress out of it? And instead of leaving your family a problem if you drop dead in your inbox. Why don't we plan for a successful sale exit? And if that doesn't happen, you leave your family a better business. But let's say you do sell it, you're going to have everything in order. Your house is going to be in order, your contracts, terms, everything's going to be there and ready to go. And our job as entrepreneurs is to be thinking about the exit and making yourself redundant every day. And if you think like that, you create better systems, a better business, and it takes the stress off you as well. You can go on holidays and your business runs itself. That's a pretty nice feeling. And that all comes from good planning and an exit strategy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I said this to you after we did the deal. You were one of the best clients to work with from a due diligence perspective, because you'd send the list and you'd have it all coming back to me straight away. I was like, this is great.
Well, I'm going to take that clip from this and play it on repeat to my team, because this is, I go around speaking at conferences and all of this stuff, and I'm deadly serious about you plan with the end in sight. When you start a business, you think, who would I like to sell this business to? And you've got to be thinking always, if I was buying this business, what questions would I ask? And how long are the contracts? Are the customers in contracts? What are the debtors? All of these things, which is really boring, and it is someone else's job, but you need to think and plan for it and be worried about the details. And if you do, you make a lot more money at the end, and actually the journey is a lot easier as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, talking about the exit process, do you want to just tell us a bit about that for you? Kind of, was there anything that surprised you about it? And, any kind of lessons, things that you'd wish you'd known before you started it?
Well, you can probably see some grey hairs coming through. That my hair was jet black before I went through a thing called due diligence. And what I've learned is, thank God I didn't become a legal professional, and that's the job I've got to do every day, or a business broker, because it is a challenging task. You need a lot of energy. You need to be organized before you're going in, because I think what it takes to sell a business is a willing seller and a willing buyer, because there's so many hurdles between the start and the end of the process that it's very easy for one of those parties to walk away from the table. So you need to be reasonable, you need to be open-minded, and you need to be organized. Because I think if you get people in that either want too much money out of the sale or want too good of a deal, that the deal is not going to happen. So it's very important, the relationship building with the buyer or the seller, for them to get along to a certain extent, because it's going to get tense at moments, and you need to be reasonable at times and be open to listening to your team of advisors and to theirs, because I can see why only 5% of businesses in the UK ever sell, which is very, very, very small amount. And I understand why. Business people are pretty egotistical. Let's say I'm one of them. And sometimes you just need to check your ego at the door and listen to the people you've employed and say, just tell me, what is normal? Are they being reasonable? Are they being unreasonable? And you've got to remember that you're not an expert in buying and selling a business. Your team are, and to defer to their advice, because there was times where my team would say to me, they're being reasonable, we should allow this. They're being unreasonable, we should push back. And I just went with it. I just gave into the process and understood the team I'd employed are best and they're experts and they're here to get the job done. And I think that's why we got the job done. And business owners I know that haven't got through the sales process have always wanted too much. Oh, I want to, this and this, and I want to take this with me, and I want to leave immediately, and this, and they've got so many conditions themselves that it becomes unreasonable. And once you get to that point, you don't sell your business. So my advice to anyone would be, go in with an open mind, employ a great team, and listen to that team. Let them get on with the job that you've employed them to do, because nothing really upset me more than when people hired me to do their digital marketing and then would tell me how to build the campaign, how to adjust it, what I should be doing. And, when I drop my car down to the garage, I don't stand there and tell the guy, you should take that filter out first. And why aren't you doing that belt over there? Yeah. I have no idea. I just drop it off at the garage and I let him do his thing. And every element of your business should be the same as that. You employ experts and let them do their job.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with you. There is an element of compromise, because although everyone's trying to work towards the same goal in kind of the sale happening, there's always going to be little bits where actually you might need to give something, they might need to give something just to get to that point. But yeah, it is I understand as well that it's hard. It's your baby, you've grown it, so it's hard to kind of give up, but give up some things at some point. But
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to listen to others, because
yeah,
they're not emotionally invested.
yes,
Business owners always think their business is worth more than it is because it's their business, and that's the right thing. They should think it's, if you don't believe in your business, who's going to? So
yeah,
it's important that they do, and they're going to be a little unrealistic, but that's why you've got to listen to your team as well.
yeah, yeah. And so now that you've been through that and survived, what's next?
Well, when I started in business as a young man, my goal was to like make a lot of money, because that's your goal when you start a business, right? And when I was a young guy, making money and all this stuff really excited me. And then along the journey, you realize, and particularly when I received the proceeds of the sale, it's not what you thought it was going to be. The money hits your account and you're kind of waiting for this amazing feeling you've worked towards forever, and then it doesn't happen. And you realize your business, your career gives you so much purpose. You know, the people you work with, going into the office, creating things, working with customers, that's what really gets you out of bed in the morning. It's not your salary, it's not the money, it's not the dividends. It is creating something that gives you purpose, because once you get to a certain salary, you don't need money, let's say, so much. So it becomes something else that you need that to give you fulfillment. And I've learned that lesson, I'd say, the hard way. So right now I'm looking to sort of start my journey again. I'm doing a lot of speaking, a lot of mentoring of other business people, and I sit on some boards of some other companies. I own a PR company in Birmingham. I sit on a video agency board in Bedford. I own a buy-to-let property company as well. So I'm not doing nothing, but
Yeah.
compared to what I was doing before, it feels like I'm on a holiday, to be honest. So right now I'm meeting other business owners looking to invest in their companies and start again, because I want to prove to myself I wasn't a one-trick pony, and I can replicate the success that I've had. And I've learned so much from the people that I've been mentored with and the experiences I've had. I feel I owe it to help other people as well, and that gives me a lot of purpose.
And that's all part of the ecosystem. Going back to what you were talking about at the beginning, now you're the person that's coming in, mentoring and investing in companies, which is hopefully going to keep the cycle going.
Yeah, well, what was really funny is sometimes in board meetings, I would say things, and Lord Sugar would laugh. And it would be so embarrassing and kind of condescending that I'd be there with this problem and he would be laughing. He would find it amusing, because he had, at the point I joined him, 50 years business experience, and I'm starting out my journey. Now I'm sort of 10, 11 years into my journey, and I'm sitting in boards and they're saying things, and I find myself laughing,
Yeah.
because business is very much like a recipe for baking a cake. There's steps you follow, and if you do it, you get the good results. And it's just funny, you don't know what you don't know, and experience is the best teacher. And I say it a million times, that's why it's having great people around you with experience, because they're just going to be able to say, it's fine, this is what we need to do. And I find myself doing that now, and like you say, passing those lessons on.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to finish up, any kind of last thoughts or words of wisdom for founders out there who are either starting at the very beginning or starting to exit or looking to exit?
Well, what boggles my mind is when I sit down with business owners and I ask them what they're trying to achieve in their business, they can't tell me, because they've never thought about it. Most people go into work every day, into their business, and they don't really have a plan. They don't have an exit strategy. They don't have goals for the business. So they're just sort of doing, they're just sort of surviving every day. And for me, that doesn't make a motivated leader. That doesn't create an atmosphere for the employees for a place that's going forward, and a place that I would want to work at, and I don't think others would want to work at. So my advice to any business owner is to really think about, what are we trying to achieve here? What's the purpose of our business? How do we serve our customers? And why is it great to work here and buy from us? And if you can get that messaging right, you sell more, you're more attractive to be bought, or to attract, maybe to acquire other businesses into your network. So it's really about having goals for yourself and your business. And if you can do that, the whole ecosystem works better.
That's great. Well, thanks very much, Mark. I think that's thanks for your time this morning and some definite words of wisdom there for other founders.
Thank
Thanks
you
very
for
much.
keeping me out of trouble, selling my business, making me a fortune. You're the best lawyer in town. There's no doubt about it. And I appreciate all you've done for me and my companies.
Thank you very much.